Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live on Facebook, and YouTube, and Twitter. What did you find?
Independence Day.
I need that. And don't forget to go find us.
I'm shopping for shirts.
He's distracting me. HollywoodMatrimony.com. It's down there.
Sorry.
We're on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Hive. Go find us.
I have the hives.
Is MySpace still around? We should MySpace.
I don't know. According to Will, whatever his name is from White and Nerdy, it is.
How many years ago was that?
I don't know, but I've been watching a bunch of people reacting to it lately.
Oh wow, they're just discovering.
Some of them are newer, some of them are older. I just find that song funny, so when I see somebody discovering it, I like to see them.
That's nice. That's good. I'm glad for you. Okay, friends, let's talk about some movies.
Let's make some stuff up.
Let's make some stuff up. I love that. I'm inviting people.
Oh, all right. We have another eclectic group of stuff. I'm sorry, I got completely sidetracked of
I need to go
looking at horror shirts, and I found some really cool stuff. So it looks like we'll be making a purchase.
I hope so.
Yeah, what was I going to say?
I don't know. We're going to talk about movies.
I think we're going to, totally not related to today's show. We're not going to tell you what it is yet. But in the coming future, it may be months from now, it may be days from now, we don't know.
I'm working on it.
We're going to do an unboxing video.
We are? What are we unboxing?
Of what we joined recently. So we'll talk about it on the show. And we're not going to tell you yet. So it's just
it'll be fun.
We're just tickling your butt crack with a feather.
Oh my. I don't even know what that means, but okay.
Teasing you.
Well, we welcome you to the show. Make sure you go like, share, thumbs up, send bubbles, send hearts, send money.
Ooh, I like cash.
You know, whatever. Venmo, whatever.
We're asking for cash now.
Why not? Hollywood. We're at Hollywood Matrimony.
We're a non-monetized website, non-monetized YouTube channel, non-monetized anything else. We make no money on anything we're doing. But we will take money.
We do not get paid for our reviews.
Yes, everything is done surely out of we have no life.
We like movies.
We just like doing
the love of movies. All right.
This whole thing was birthed out of boredom.
And I was like, we can do it. And so we did.
We don't even pay. I mean, don't get me wrong. It would be awesome to have a lot of viewers and thousands of subscribers and millions and whatever.
We have thousands of people that watch our videos, but they don't subscribe.
Yeah, we have some videos
don't be
that
that
have
person.
25,000 views, but they didn't like the channel. But same time, we don't stress about it. It's we do it and then we walk away and then we maintain crap. So
we get a few free movies here and there. That's enough to keep us happy.
No, whatever. Anyway, right. So if you're one of those people that think, excuse me, reviewers are paid, I ain't paid jack. If anything, we take a loss because I got to pay for the website space. I got to pay for the domain names, all the amount of time we work. Like if I was to have to get another full-time job separate from what I do, there's no way I can maintain this website. Yeah. It's a full-time job maintaining this website.
Are you okay to start with this movie?
Sure, why not?
Let's just start. We're going to jump in.
What is this movie? Have I seen this?
Isn't that the one you want to talk about today?
I've seen it, yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, did I not do the right thing?
I have not posted a review for this yet, but it's a movie called The Grandmaster of Kung Fu.
Okay, and it's a man doing Kung Fu.
Do what?
It's a guy doing Kung Fu.
It is. So basically, I originally thought it was going to be another Ip Man story.
Oh, okay.
But it is a fictional film. And it's a story of a Chinese martial artist who gauged life and death battle with Japanese military, whatever. Shenzhen, I believe that's the character's name, who Bruce Lee played in Fist of Fury, aka Chinese Connection, depending on where you look at it.
Right.
Jet Li played him in Fist of Legend, who's like a fictional character. I think he's loosely based on a real life person. There is a character who's a young version. His name is the same name in this movie. That leads me to believe that this character is supposed to be maybe his master. But I don't know if that's just coincidence, if that was the plan. I don't know. But the movie is an old school wushu, whatever, however you pronounce it. I never could get it right.
Just say wushu.
WUXIA, which is the classification of Asian martial art epic superhero type films. If every one of these types of movies that are made, that's a genre.
Oh, okay. So
that's the genre name. So that's another one of these. It's
Wuxia. That's what he's saying. Can you hear it? Hold on.
It's wushu, right? Okay.
There you go.
I keep trying to say wushu, and it's not. Wushu
That's wushu something
Wushu
else.
is a kung fu.
Wuxia
is the genre.
It's a genre of Chinese fiction and cinema regarding warriors in ancient China, often depicted with superhuman feats of martial arts strength.
I just told you that.
Okay, well, I'm reading.
I know what it is. I've always messed up saying it.
There you go.
So it's the ones that are like with the wire work and the people flying around.
And then they hit someone and they're like,
yeah.
Love it.
That's what this movie is, kind of. It's not as over the top as like something like Chinese Super Ninjas. Yes. But I really had fun with this movie. This movie was awesome. It's old school. Is
this the one you were watching the other night when I was getting ready for bed?
No, that was when Taekwondo Strikes, which is a Junri movie.
Okay, sorry.
With Sammo Hung and Angela Mao. And
you're like, is that Sammo Hung?
I totally forgot Sammo Hung was in.
He had hair. I've
seen When Taekwondo Strikes many times, and I just totally forgot Sammo Hung was in it.
My arms are all cut up. Okay, sorry.
This was before anybody, I think, knew who Sammo Hung was, and this was Junri's one and only movie.
Okay, continue.
You know, Junri is the founder of American Taekwondo.
Continue with the Grandmaster.
And he also told me I had a great sidekick. Rest in peace, Junri. He died at like 90-something years old. And he was still doing 100 push-ups a day. From here down, Junri looked like he was 25. His face had started to look old, but he was still ripped, and he was walking around. He'd do 100 push-ups in 1 minute.
That's crazy.
Totally not related to this movie at all. The Grandmaster of Kung Fu is just that. It's about a master of Kung Fu, and it's fighting against the Chinese. The Japanese. It's almost the same idea of the first Ip Man movie with the Japanese occupation, and he's rising up. So there are elements here that really feel like this could have been an Ip Man story again, but in reality, it's a different character. It's everything is set up to set up another fight. So it's not as inspired or original as I hoped story-wise, but it's got some great fights and it's everything I want in this kind of movie. So if you like these kind of movies, this is one of the better ones that come along in a while. It may not be as epic as the Ip Man movies. It may not be as fast-paced or as flashy all the time in the fights, but the fights are good. I enjoyed them. Story was fine. It's going to hit Blu-ray and DVD this week, but right now it's already streaming. It's classified as a Hayya original. If you don't know Hayya is a martial arts Asian cinema streaming service. I think Wogo USA hosts it, but it's like $3 or $4 a month or $5 a month or something. It's got a plethora of martial arts flicks from Don the Dragon Wilson, Cynthia Rothrock, Donnie Yen, everybody you can think of. They have a lot of original movies, stuff like that. That Baby Assassins movie we watched is an original movie from that too. So it's got a ton of stuff you can watch.
Does it have the 4 elements?
It is not on there, but I don't think they own the rights to that.
Do they have this guy?
The One-Armed Swordsman? No, it's not on there
either. Okay, the movies that I remember are not there. Well, you know what? I'm going to go on Hayya and find some new ones that I like. There's
some good ones on there, and I can point you in the right direction.
I know. I'm going to love all of it.
So anyway, the Grandmaster of Kung Fu is fun if you like martial arts flick and you like this genre. Then I highly recommend checking it out. It's a good one. I enjoyed it.
And go to our website because you could enter to win a free copy.
In fact, give away copies of this movie.
Thank you.
Moving on.
Okay. Lord have mercy.
So next was a documentary on Netflix.
Okay?
About a viral video that went out. I remember this viral video. I watched it numerous times. Thought it was hilarious. I was like, dude, this dude's crazy. And I kind of knew the outcome, but I didn't know the story that got to that outcome. And so I was just blown away. But this is the Hatchet Wielding Hitchhiker. Right, and you said you knew nothing about this.
I didn't know anything about this. I'd never heard of this guy, never seen any of this video. I didn't know anything. So this was all brand new to me.
So basically it's about this guy, Kai, which is not his name. I think his name is Caleb or something, but he went by Kai. And he's a homeless grifter.
Yes.
Right? Drifter or grifter, depending on what you want to look at what he's up to.
He's a hitchhiker.
He just lives off, he's very surfer-like, hippie-like. You would think he's like stoner-like. And apparently he had hitchhiked with some guy, and the guy ran over somebody because they were black, and they got out and attacked somebody else. And this guy jumped out and helped the person he was attacking by whapping the guy in the head with a hatchet, and he did it like this.
Smash, smash, smash.
That's how he describes it. Hit him 3 times, and he yells that during the video. So if you've never seen the video, they show it in its entirety. But this is about the story of that, and then the story of Kai's rise to viral sensation.
This is insane.
And the insane journey of where it all ended.
This is the craziest story I've ever seen. It's, you know how those people go viral on the news because you get the that funny
Not
person
today. Those kind of
that one, or they're like, you know, there was something wrong when she was running into the arms of a black man.
The people that got being kidnapped.
And then not today was the lady's like, the apartment was on fire. She's like, not today. And I still say not today all the time.
My favorite thing,
all these people.
It's not even a real thing, but it's a Jeff Foxworthy joke talking about how they pick the most interesting, unique people to interview on the news.
Always.
And he's talking about during tornadoes, they always go find the most country, person. And he's like interviewing them. They got the curlers in their hair and their robe, and he's like, and then he does impressions. Lady, she goes, "It was Pandelirium." She's like, "They was doing this," and she goes, "And the cow flying." She goes, "And as the cow flew by, all I could think of as Carol, and Carol still had my casserole dish."
I'm telling you. So, anyways, that's basically what this was. But now we meet with the reporter who actually interviewed him. They show the full length interview, all the questions they asked, everything kind of behind the scenes, and then just tracking him down through his life and where he was and what happened. And then another incident, and then the police were looking for him, and
because then there's the trial of what he was involved in. Then there's other stuff, like you said, other incidents of things. But then there's just his popularity. There's TV people wanting to make TV shows with him. There are people wanting to sign contracts, and his weird behavior and how he writes things and what he says and everything he says.
Interview with Jimbo Kimball.
Yeah, and everything he says is always like spreading these messages of peace and love.
Like you're important, you matter.
Yeah, but there's something else there, and then you start kind of hearing about his life story. You see his mom is on there.
Supposedly his abusive childhood, and then his mom saying that never happened. But I didn't trust his mom.
I think the mom is not a focal point of the story, but there's something shady about that.
I think she abused him.
I think everything he says in that movie about her is true.
I agree. I think she's shady.
She's shady. That's a whole nother documentary.
Anyways, we'll never know, but this just follows his whole life story to where he is current day, and it is crazy. And I had no idea that's where we were going.
It's just funny. I knew about this thing coming, the Axe Wielding Hitchhiker. It's a documentary.
All sorts of cuts and scratches.
But I didn't know it was this guy, which cracked me up, because I'm like, I remember this video, and I remember seeing the ones that they edited it to music. It's like smash, smash, and I just remember cracking up because it was, this was only in 2013 or
it was recent,
something like that.
Oh my god!
So yeah, it's super interesting. Even if you know the story, it's still intriguing seeing all the kind of behind the scenes stuff and the weirdness.
Well, and just where it went, like the Kardashians wanted to have a reality show with, or have a show with it. Like they were
the producers that made the Kardashians wanted to make a show with them. Yeah.
But then they were like, "Help us find Kai," and then he was on Stephen Colbert had something to do, or Jimbo Kimball, or
Jimmy Kimmel.
And I mean, it's just the level of stardom, and he could have actually had a decent living, had a nice life. But anytime if people gave him stuff, he gave it away to other people.
Yeah, and they were like,
so strange.
I think it was one point he was offered, hey, we'll give you $100,000 or $20,000, whatever it was, something to do such and such. He's like, I'm good. And then I'd rather go to this place. What was it they said? They said they could either come here to do this show thing for like $20,000, or he could travel to this other state to smoke weed. And he goes, I'm going to go smoke the weed, man. And so you're like,
yeah.
But then when you see him sign contract stuff, it's like hieroglyphics. It's weird writing.
He was just weird. He's a little out there, a little spacey.
Yeah, it's intriguing because you can't help but love the guy. But you also there's something off with this guy.
I know, and I was torn because on that last incident in court case, I'm on his side because I'm like, well, if this really happened to him, I understand.
And even by the end of it,
but then you're like, then you were like, yeah, you don't do that if that's what really happened. That's not how
there's excessive, and then there's also behaviors. There's a lot of weird things, and
I'm just
some of this stuff. There's a statement in it that really actually makes the whole thing sad. I'm going to say it out of context.
Okay.
But the guy talks about how the one thing that Kai never wanted was a home. He liked being free spirit, and now he has a home forever kind of thing. And it's just, you think about that, you're like, man, that's how tormenting is that?
And
or
it's not.
Is there more to it, and it's not really who he was?
Yeah.
Because there are moments later in the film that he's not talking the same.
Correct.
So it makes you wonder how much was an act, how much is there multiple personalities? Was he just knew how to bring his crap together when he needed to?
Yeah.
Was he like one of these rap guys that they're one way until they get in court and all of a sudden they know how to speak?
Correct. They're not doing that anymore. I don't know. I mean, and at some point, I do think there was some trauma in his childhood, which led him to wanting to be free and not be, confined. But now, oh Lord, can you imagine?
I don't know, but it's an intriguing, compelling movie.
It is actually really interesting story. It's really well told. It's narrated by the man who was the first man to interview him, and he was saying this was also interesting for his career because he was the sports guy, but they needed him to be out on the street.
They were short people, so they sent him out.
They sent him out to do an interview, and he's like, okay, and then that kind of helped his career as well. And he was always wanting to help Kai. He was trying to find him, like, what can we do? We can get you
it's
money.
Crazy. It was like Kai is constantly self-sabotaging himself, but then turns around to apologize for what he did. So it's like he knows he was doing something wrong, and I don't think sometimes he thought it was wrong. He thought he was being funny with some of the things. Like, he tended to pee on things a lot, and it was like him peeing on the sign of Jimmy Kimmel because he thought it was funny, getting in trouble, and then he gave his money or whatever the gift they gave him to the security guard that got mad at him.
Yeah.
And it was like, what? So it's really just intriguing to watch like, especially nowadays with the popularity of memes and these viral videos and stuff, seeing one that was part of like a really thing and seeing some of the tragic stuff of it and not just seeing the funny nature of it, seeing the ups and downs and the craziness and the whirlwind thing that all went behind this one video that all we saw was the smash, smash, smash video.
Yeah.
And knowing there's so much more there.
Yeah.
I really dug it. It was intriguing.
It was actually a really interesting documentary. So check it out. It is available on Netflix now.
And it's not violent or bloody. No. So don't let the Axe Wielding Hitchhiker thing throw you.
It's going to be okay.
Are you going to make me go here?
This is where we're going.
All right, hold on. I got to pull up something real quick.
Okay. So yeah, you're going to tell me about this next movie that's called Detective Night Redemption, starring Mr. Bruce Willis and Paul Johansson. Over to you.
Okay, give me a second. I got to pull up because this is the second film in a trilogy, the Detective Night trilogy. The first film was Detective Night Rogue.
Is he Detective Night?
He is, in fact, Detective Night.
Thank you.
So he is in the film all the way through, but it's also other people in the film that are kind of. He gets in a little bit. What are you doing?
I was gonna say it's not the other night, not Nick Night.
No, it's not. Just stop. Just stop. You're about to go into a really dumb direction. All right, but it's the first installment of the Detective Night trilogy that is followed by. Oh Lord, I just lost it. Redemption and Independence. So essentially, the sequel, the end of the first film. Let me rephrase this. The sequel, which is we're talking about right now, Redemption, picks up after the aftermath of what happens in the first film.
Of Rogue.
So if you don't watch the first film, you won't know why
Bruce Willis is in jail.
Rogue. Okay. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter why Bruce Willis is in jail, because I'll tell you. But they do connect it. It's not just a case of, because like in the first movie, his partner gets shot. You think he's dead. So he kind of goes on a rampage. He goes rogue, if you will. And he goes to jail because he stopped the criminals, but he did stuff that was kind of illegal to do it. Gotcha. So he ends up in jail for it. So when we get to the second one, he's already in jail still. His partner's now learning to walk again. So there's still connections.
Right. It's still ongoing.
And it's during the holiday, during Christmas, and there's these bank robbers dressed as Santa. So it's a typical action flick. It's not as bad as the Paradise City one we watched. It's not that bad.
That was last week, folks.
It's not that much better, but it's not bad. If you watch it as I have the trilogy. I haven't watched the last one yet. Independence. I'm assuming Independence is Detective Night is finally living on his own again instead of jail. He's redeeming himself, and now he gets to be independent. That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, there it is. I'll post that too.
It's one of those.
Post the link to all of them.
It's right here.
Lord.
Excuse me. What is this thing? Oh dear Lord. All right. You cracking up the. Well, this is. Let me go back to the other one first. So I know I'm kind of all over the place in this one because
I'm trying to just understand. What is this movie about?
That's why we got to go
stopping some bank robbers during Christmas,
I know.
Right?
I'm going to tell you what it's about.
Okay, that's what I'm.
It says after the events of Rogue, James Knight is in prison for the murders of Winna and Brigga. You don't need to know. Just watch the first movie.
Okay.
Near Christmas, he gets caught up in the middle of a jailbreak. So that's what it is. The guys, I had to remember because it's been a little while since I watched it. The guys that had robbed the bank are in jail with him, and they break out, and he gets caught up in it. So they come to get him, and they're like, "Hey, you'll help us stop these guys."
I got you.
You know, and he's like, "Why me?" And they're like, "Because you're Bruce Willis. Why not you?" And he ends up basically take them out. But the guy that's the leader is kind of like this, almost like a cult leader. But then the guy that's helping him he's like he's one of the bad guys from the first movie, but he's really a good guy, just trying to get money for his family. Now he's sucked into this whole thing. Now Detective Knight is trying to stop him and whatever. So yeah, it's I hate saying it's a horrible movie because it's not a horrible movie. It's a straight to video action movie. It's another one where Bruce Willis. I felt like Bruce Willis was a little more in the movie.
That's good.
Physically, and I feel like he was a little more in on the action and a little more there, but not at the same time. Like you can tell there's still something off, you know. And I don't know when these were made. I don't know if they were shot back to back. I don't know when the production was. Let me see if it says production. Well, it said in 2021 he signed on to production, so they shot it in 2021. But I don't know when he announced his issue. He was already having the issue back for a couple of years now.
Yeah, it's just become more widely known now.
Supposedly, these films are within the list of the last films he's made, which that's how you go.
He's gonna stop making films soon, right?
I think he already has. I think these are all lingering things that are finishing,
that are just now coming.
Yeah, because it seems like they're dropping this fast because the first one, the first one came out last year, but the second one's coming out this week. And then the third one's coming out next month.
Oh, okay, cool.
So they're finishing it up, and I don't know if he has anything else after this. But anyway, it's a very generic, low end, independent action flick. If you, I feel like anything I say is bashing Bruce Willis because of it, and I feel bad bashing Bruce Willis because it's a lot of his performance thing. But it does feel like he's phoning it in. But he probably is because he doesn't have issues. He has issues, remember? So you can see a lot of the same cut stuff.
And I was reading an article after we watched that movie last week with him and John Travolta that they were saying he's earwigging it, where he has an earpiece and someone's feeding the lines.
Sometimes you can tell that,
which is, you know what? Whatever you got to do.
More power to him to try to do the best he can, and then there are other times
because we know it's not his fault. It's an actual brain condition.
Yeah.
It's not like some of these other people.
It's not Steven Seagal.
Yes.
It just sucks.
Lord.
And I love Steven Seagal, but look, I get it.
He's phoning it in.
It's he's
just taking a paycheck.
Well, he had a whole thing. I don't know if you remember. He got in like a bad deal and was forced into at least this
like
what he said
in
an interview.
Picture deal or something.
Yeah, with somebody that wouldn't let him out of it. So he said, fine, he will only do one take. So he only did one take of any movie. So that's why if you watch some of his early straight to video movies, it's someone else's voice. They had someone else come in and dub his lines. So it's good because he was just like, I'm not going to walk in there and shoot that man. And then he comes on thinking, it's like, I'm not going to walk in there and shoot that man. Like, that is not Steven Seagal. Anyway.
Sorry.
I wish you could have been there when I saw some of those. And, being a Steven Seagal aficionado.
You watch all of them.
I've seen them all. Anything he's made. And including Steven Seagal Lawman, his reality show.
We watched Lawman. I watched that. That was all right.
I remember sitting there going, like a dog, like.
And then I'm remembering the John Leguizamo thing about
John Leguizamo hates Steven Seagal after their time on an executive decision.
Oh, Lord.
He based his entire lame character on the menu.
So funny.
Anyway, so I don't know what to say about this movie. It is what it is. It's exactly what you think it is. Straight to video action flick. It's forgettable. It's not good, but it's also not horrible. It's tolerable. I love Bruce Willis, just not Bruce Willis now, and it's hard to. But I also feel like I feel this need as a fan to support him to the last minute.
I agree because he's still working.
And I feel horrible to say bad things about him. But it's not just him. His issue is his issue. They didn't make a better movie around him. It's like, but they
wonder why this happened.
But in comparison to the other movie, this is a better movie, I think, than Paradise City.
All right. Well,
that's not saying much, but I'm interested to see how Independence goes. Because Independence says, after the events of Redemption, which seems to be a thing here, James Knight tries to stop rogue vigilante and out-of-control EMT vehicle from putting the city in danger on Independence Day. The detective's race against time also involves saving his own home from a suspected explosion.
You know what? I'm going to jump on this bandwagon.
It's basically John McClane getting thrown into new adventures.
Correct.
But he's just not as cool because this is John McClane after maybe he got blown up and got a head trauma and now he can't. That's mean. I'm not going to say that.
All right.
If you like Bruce Willis,
let's wrap up this review.
Yeah, I do recommend you do need to watch Rogue first because a lot of the crap in Redemption doesn't make any sense. I think, well, I don't know if thankfully, but I got the chance to watch the first two back to back. I had not back, a couple of days apart. I had to recover, but so it made sense more. So I'm kind of glad I did. So if I get to watch the final one, if it doesn't expire, I'll see if it connects more. I'll see if the same characters come back and. Anyway,
all right.
Watch it or don't. I don't care.
Thank you for your review.
I don't even know how to talk about that. I don't even know how to write the review for it.
All right. We're moving on. Now, this is something
This is not the movie I thought it was.
All right. We are now going to talk about the new movie on Netflix that came out this past week, The Pale Blue Eye. And yes, that is a reference to one Edgar Allan Poe. We both thought, according to the poster, that
well, not even the poster. From what I had heard about an Edgar Allan Poe,
from seeing Christian Bale,
I thought he was Edgar Allan Poe.
Is he Edgar Allan Poe?
Well, I'd heard this was an Edgar Allan Poe story.
Correct.
But that's like nobody told me that. It was just like the rumblings.
Well, no, the Pale Blue Eye.
I know, but the rumblings of it. So I knew it was not a direct Edgar Allan Poe thing. I thought it was going to be just like a portion of his life. It may be another one of those things of how he came up with a story through something that happens. But in this case, it's actually based on the novel of the same name.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about a retired detective, who teams up with a cadet because there's a murder at this military school.
I think
the cadet is Edgar Allan Poe.
Correct. Young Edgar Allan Poe in school.
Yes, who is played by, what is the character's name in Harry Potter? Fatty McGackety. He's not fat anymore.
No,
the fat kid that was his stepbrother. That young man. I don't remember his name. She's looking up. He plays Edgar Allan Poe. Let me tell you, he looks exactly.
He looks so good. Looks so good in this.
I don't think anybody should be allowed to play Edgar Allan Poe except for that guy.
Harry Melling, who most of you will know as Dudley.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dudley.
Did you say Dudley?
Yeah, I said
Dudley Dursley. Okay. Also Dudley Dursley.
Okay.
Harry Potter's cousin, babe. Because remember that was his aunt.
Whatever.
Okay. Anyways.
Anyway, he is excellent as Edgar Allan Poe. He looks just like him. The outfit they got is on point. The only thing he doesn't have the mustache, but he's also a cadet, so he's a younger version. And he's a writer or poet kind of thing.
Just didn't know it.
So, but this whole movie is like a murder mystery. It kind of unfolds like an Edgar Allan Poe story.
Yeah.
Somewhat. It's not a horror element, but it has some horror themes.
Yeah, and it has a little bit. I feel like Edgar Allan Poe always had a little bit of the supernatural twinge to it, where it could have been, but not. So somewhat real, but somewhat kind of like a little out there, but not really. What are you reading?
I have to ask you. Okay, I'm about to tell you people that were in here because that's a good cast too.
Yeah,
there's Toby Jones, who you always like, is in it.
Yes.
Gillian Anderson is there.
Yes.
Timothy Spall, who's also from Harry Potter.
Correct. And I was like, this is
Robert Duvall's in it? Where's Robert Duvall? Did I miss him?
And Robert Duvall. Let's go look. I'll tell you right now.
Well, I'll tell you. I guess I can tell you.
Well, I'm going to look at his picture.
You knew Robert Duvall. He says Jean Pepe. It says right there.
Hmm.
Bobby D.
I was gonna go look at the photos and see if
That's
we
what
see
he
him.
goes by. Bobby
Was
D.
he the dad? Was he the
Maybe he
old man
was.
dad?
Unless maybe he just has a small part and I missed it as
I
we were.
missed it too. I love this man, by the way. Toby Jones. Love him. And Gillian Anderson. Finally, X-Files showed
It didn't
up.
even look like
Not
her.
the other lady that I keep confusing for X-Files the other day, but no. Anywho, doesn't matter. This movie was really good. I really enjoyed it. There was a little bit of talky, but I think that's all par for the course, especially if you're dealing with.
Oh, that was him.
He was the old man.
I know, but I didn't realize.
Oh, he was the old officer.
Yeah, I didn't realize that
academy.
was him.
He looks really good. Anyways, I was gonna say I think that's par for the course when you're dealing with a novel, but I think especially if a novel is based on some Edgar Allan Poe stuff, I mean, it's literary, my friends. You got to get into the words and the meaning of the words.
That was him the whole time.
Yeah, he looks good. Anyways, Christian Bale is good. He's muy excelente, and I like this one because
I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you. He's the one that was sitting there, was like, "Bring me this and stuff, and bring me that book," and right?
Yeah, he was like
it's like the old antiquities guy or whatever it is. Holy crap!
But
I honestly did not even realize that was.
I think too. There's a little bit of where they try to mislead you on purpose because. I mean, our detective
feed you every element, but it's completely the direction you don't expect.
Correct, and I think that's such a great thing for one of those whodunit kind of solving mysteries. But then you're focused on Christian Bale being the detective that you forget. Hey, Edgar Allan Poe himself was a mystery writer.
Yeah,
he's a poet. He's a writer. He knows all these things.
Like,
and so they're both working together to solve the mystery. But they're like this. And when you get to the point where it passes each other, you're like,
oh. One of the things I love is when you deal with a really well written murder mystery thriller kind of thing. Yeah. Because it also had, even though it's not stylized and not as campy, it had kind of that Sleepy Hollow feel.
Yeah.
But a darker, heavier tone. Pretty. It's beautifully dead. What's the word I'm looking for? It's dirty and dingy and gray.
It is,
but it's beautiful at the same time.
And I like
it's slow paced.
Yeah,
because it's
a talkie. Because we're in the 18.
We need to get you a shirt that says it's a talkie.
We're in the 1830s at West Point, so can you imagine? I mean, we're still here with some muskety things, and then the really strict uniforming.
Yeah.
And then Christian Bale, we see him and he's this well-renowned detective, and I was wondering at the beginning why he showed up looking kind of disheveled.
Yeah.
But by the time we get to the end, you know why.
Well, and it was interesting when you see a movie like this, and then
starts to like.
To me, what works best is not just the cleverness of when they start revealing the stuff, and you start seeing, oh, they told us this already, and you missed it. It's that when they say it, you realize you've been telling us this the entire time. Not when they go back and re-show you the scene, that as soon as they say something to the effect of, you do this, you're like, you see one thing, and then you now see every clue they've been telling you through the entire movie. And you're like, how could I have missed that? But like, it's so obvious.
It's so obvious. There's just one thing with an autopsy. And you're like, well, it must be this dude. And it's like, maybe. But then you see it, and it's like so more levels of that one thing. And you're like, well, that's why. And I'm like, oh, well, that's why this.
Yeah, and there's like some things you believe that he's just that good at what he does. But then you're like, of course, that's why he knows, because this happened and he knows about this. And
well, yeah, and
it's hard to say a lot because you don't want to spoil the story.
But then Edgar Allan Poe knew things. I think I really liked where we are in the story of Edgar Allan Poe, and we get kind of that level of Lenore in there little.
We're both like, because that was Lenore, right?
Yeah,
or a version.
I think that becomes his. Lenore.
We're both pretty big Edgar Allan Poe fans, and so we'll watch anything if it's not a good movie. If it's got Edgar Allan Poe, I have told you before that Michael Jackson always tried to make an Edgar Allan Poe movie, didn't he?
Yes.
And so Sylvester Stallone has too.
Oh, really?
And there's rumors that he's going to finally make it, because I think he's talking about, after Tulsa King, stepping away from acting and just being director. And they say if he does that, he's probably going to finally make his Edgar Allan Poe movie.
When we need to go back and finish watching all of the box set we were watching.
Of, the Vincent Price movies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's so many of the stories. So we're fans.
But it's also not an Edgar Allan Poe story.
Correct.
So that's where it threw me at first, because I thought my whole interest in watching this movie, outside of liking Christian Bale, was thinking this was an Edgar Allan Poe story.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be, like I said, that it was going to be a story that inspired his novel and this and that, and it kind of is, but it's its own thing. He just it's a murder mystery that just happens to have Edgar Allan Poe in it, which made it even that much cooler.
Yeah, and I like that we tied it all into his novels, and you have a little Telltale Heart in there. You have a little Lost Lenore. You have some of you see reference to some of the characters in his other stories about like military things and this guy and this, and so it's all kind of woven within, but it's a completely new mystery. And I do like that there is a lot of the switcheroo that happens, and you're really following this, but like you said, it's like, hello, here's it, and then once you see this, and then it connects to this, and it connects, and then it all comes together at the end, and you're like, oh, and then, but that's not even it. Then it comes to another layer, and then another thing happens.
So it's one of those that ends. Oh, the movie ends.
So
you've got everything's been revealed, and it tells what happened, and like, okay, that's cool. I didn't see it coming that way, and this and that.
Correct.
But then I remember we were working on something at the same time, and I'm like, dude, there's still like 30 more minutes of this movie. What could possibly be going on?
And that's another. Like, that's when there's a whole. Like, there has to be something.
That's why there's a whole nother level of the movie.
Yeah,
so
it's really.
We're gonna kind of stop there because we don't want to spoil anything. Just go into it. Just know it is a little bit slow paced. It's not action. It's not fast. It's not entertaining from a standpoint of laughs and things. It's kind of.
But it is entertaining.
Yeah, it's very entertaining. But you just gotta sit with it and listen.
Pay attention.
Listen, watch, let it unfold. Just like if you're reading an Edgar Allan Poe book.
Correct. Just let it happen. Grab your popcorn. Let it happen.
And it is available now on Netflix. The Pale Blue Eye.
Check it out.
Don't watch the Pale Green Eye. That's a whole different movie. I don't even know if it exists, but just in case. What else we got?
We're going here.
All right, this next one is a movie that we kept trying to watch. We were going to see it at the theater and missed out on it. Then they sent me up for your consideration screening. We tried to watch it 5 times.
It would never load. It would never play.
And I even messaged,
everything else on that site would play, but this one movie.
And I messaged the PR people that never got back with me. So we suddenly realized that it was showing on Paramount.
It's on Paramount.
Paramount Plus. So we got excited. So it's a movie called Devotion. And it is and I haven't read a review for it yet either.
It is based on true events.
It is based on true events. And I don't have it pulled up, so I'll let you tell everybody what it's about.
It's a team here of U.S. Navy fighter pilots during a Korean War conflict. This is after World War II. It's not a very much talked about
war.
Not very much talked about incident that happened, but this is post World War II, and so as you're probably going to be aware, it was not common for there to be an African American fighter pilot, and his companion here is the white guy and the white dude. But guys,
and it's starring.
This movie was like,
forget to. Ironically enough, Glenn Powell, who is his partner, the white guy, as she put it.
Sorry,
he's fresh off Top Gun Maverick as a pilot in there, which we kept making jokes that Maverick is where he learned it, and this is where he was.
He went back in time. He went back in time.
And then Jonathan Majors, who is, as she says, the black pilot. He's like the big up and coming guy right now. He was one of the stars of Lovecraft Country, but now he's like the new guy in everything. He's going to
be everywhere
because he showed up in Loki, and now he's going to be Kang and Ant-Man. They're actually doing Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, so he's essentially the new Thanos in Marvel right now.
And then he's about to fight Creed. Yeah,
he's going to be in Creed 3, so he's kind of front and center right now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another one where he's front and center.
Okay, so basically we got to tell you, he's playing Jesse Brown, who's one of the first African-American fighter pilots. There is some discrimination out there, or not discrimination, some
racism?
No, not that. They're fighting about who is actually the first African-American fighter pilot. So discrepancies.
Like you mean outside of the movie?
Correct.
Okay.
So
people are saying it's not him, it was somebody else.
Yeah, there was another one that is not.
There
is another. But he in this movie is the only one in this whole battleship, okay?
Like there's other black guys there, but they work in the kitchen, they work in this and that.
I'm just telling you, there's this one scene where he's flying the plane, they get brand new planes that they're learning how to fly last minute before they go on a mission. Who does that? And he's trying to land it, and all of the African American guys that are the cooks and that clean and all that come out there to watch him fly this plane. And it's such a big deal.
And it's interesting because that happens way into the movie, and that's the first time you realize. Before that, you realize you're dealing with the discrimination and the racism and the issues he's dealing with. But that's the first time you kind of cements it home that says, "Wait a minute,
this is so."
He's representing all these people is what they see.
Yeah,
but he still doesn't see it until later in the movie. And
yeah,
there's
later
another
something
scene,
else happens, and I was like,
when then he realizes,
I'm like, you got to keep going.
Yeah, but he realizes this is bigger than him. This isn't about him anymore.
And I'm telling you. That's what
he represents.
You know, I was over there crying, like, you got to do it. It's for everybody else that's coming up behind you. And I'm crying. So this movie got me in the feels. But then the other part is his partner, who is Tom Hudner. I got to get his name right because these are real people that really happened.
AKA his white partner.
No, but you know what? At one point,
there's only three characters really in this movie that are nice and supportive to
him. Their captain, who's this guy.
Yeah, and then there's one other pilot.
And then the other
not Jonas.
This guy.
Nick Hargrove, yeah.
Nick Hargrove.
So it's three. It's their commanding officer, and then another pilot.
Another pilot, and him,
and of course his wife.
His wife. And then there's one other guy who's the rescue helicopter pilot, who they had been in basic training together, and he was nice too.
What I did enjoy about this movie, that I will say, in that context, is it wasn't his own squad. Didn't spend a lot of time attacking him or bringing him. They were rude at times, not all the time. It wasn't a constant.
They were snarky.
I know, but it wasn't a constant barrage of racial hate.
No.
But there were comments. You know, there's always the one guy that's worse than the others. And I think the worst thing is it's, I guess, kind of a spoiler, but it's not really to the bigger picture, is he talks to himself and he berates himself. And when they reveal, like, I figured out why, but
yeah, you caught it the first time.
But when you read it, when he finally explains himself and why he's doing it to himself, it's sad, but it also makes total sense. And it's you know, it's just one of those things that kind of reminds you what people are going through. You know, it takes you through, you know, the back of the bus stuff, the water fountain stuff, the first time going to school and all the different things that these people had to deal with, the first time stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
because I mean, we think, oh, this doesn't happen. It still happens, and I think we've had several levels of the iteration of it doesn't happen. But
there's even a moment where, like, they're flying in as air support for ground troops, and they're flying low, and this one soldier's running, and he's like, "We got a black pilot up there." Like, it's so irrelevant to, like, you're in the middle of a battle. And you could die at any moment. And that's all he had felt the need was to tell everybody that one of the pilots helping them was a black pilot. And you're like, I just don't want to get shot. I don't know why that's what you think about.
You know, but I'm just telling you know, we go through this whole thing of that doesn't happen, but then we see all the stuff that's happened recently in recent years. And then we talked about how now it used to be covert. It used to be silent. And it used to just be the stares and the looks, but now it's all out in the open.
As Will Smith said before he became public enemy number one, it's always happening. It's just being filmed now.
Correct. It's always been happening. I'm trying to look.
This was pre-Slap Will.
1950. This movie was in the 50s, so that's 72. So this is my mom's time period. So I've told y'all this before, but for newer people, my mom even grew up with this. I mean, where grandma had to tell my mom, and I feel like my mom or grandma told me too, like, there will always be people who don't like you just because you're not like them, or you're not white, or you're not whatever. And, you know, my mom's friend her mom wouldn't let her play with her. Once my mom went over to their house, and when she saw my mom, like, saw her, then my mom that little girl wasn't allowed to be friends with my mom anymore.
Did they see her or they talked to her? Because I've talked to mom. I wouldn't play with her either.
They saw her. This was back when my mom was little. She was actually like a little.
When she was little, did she still have this face?
She did. Her eyebrows were still mean, but she had little braids.
That's how her mom looks.
Yeah, she has mean eyebrows. But she had like little Mexican girl braids and the whole thing. And so she wasn't allowed to be friends with her anymore.
I got you. And when I was a kid, they had the talk with me like, look, you have more power than everyone else.
You're going to have white privilege.
When you go out there and you play with them, always remind them that you're upper management or the general. If y'all are playing gardening,
you're always the boss.
You're the foreman.
Oh my gosh. No, I mean, but I appreciate all of you who think this does not happen anymore.
You know what's really weird? This is going to make my dad sound bad, but I'm going to tell you the story anyway because
okay.
it shows the different times and the context of humor and whatever. But
we can laugh
my
about
dad,
this now.
a couple of my dad's closest friends were black when I was growing up, and
what?
Yeah, people they worked with at craft,
Yeah,
and a couple of them were black. Of course, my martial arts instructor, my dad's best friend, was Mexican, and so my dad was always around people of color. He had a lot of really white friends that I'm not. I'm not totally sure some of them weren't in the clan. I'm just saying.
We know one was.
Yeah, I know one was. My dad
I know
wasn't.
one that was.
Yeah, we know for a fact one of them was. But we didn't know it at the time, and we found out later. Anyway, but it was one of those things that, like, my dad used to jokingly talk about selling one of his friends. And his friend thought it was hilarious.
Yikes.
But you think about, my dad was coming from a place of, hey, we're being funny as friends. But then you think about the context of how cringing it is. And I remember this and it being a joke as a child. And his friend laughing at it. And it was a joke. And then his friend was sometimes like, well, if you want it better, you don't want to hire some lazy, and he would say the N-word. The black guy would say this. You should hire, I'll say this white guy way cheaper and he'll actually work. There was this banter. It wasn't my dad was taking bashes at this guy and this guy felt bad and didn't say anything. They would hit each other. But you think in the context of a child watching this, it makes me think that joke is okay.
It's not okay.
And it's hilarious, but it's also inappropriate, right? But it shows you the context shift of, and my dad is not a racist by any means.
No, he's a very
my dad's a super, I don't even want to say religious because that doesn't help that argument.
Not anymore.
My dad is very loving to everybody. He loves everybody, but it was just that time period shift, and it was their bonding of, my dad was very firm about, he used to, that's why in Clerks 2, there's a running joke about porch monkey and taking the word back, right?
No, we can't take that back.
I know, but he's like, I'm taking it back. It's not racist, whatever. That scene is so funny to me because my dad attempted the same thing, but with the N-word. He decided that we were going to make the N-word not bad, but not about black people because he didn't want to insult black people. He looked at the N-word as a lazy person. Anybody that didn't want to work. He's like, you could be an N-word even if you're white, Hispanic, Asian. If you're too lazy to do the job, whatever, then that's what you are. And he was really trying hard to be that better person. And the entire time he's pushing a race agenda that he doesn't intend to push.
Let's not use the N-word ever.
And I remember years later talking about it, and he goes, yeah, let's not talk about it.
He was trying.
He was trying so hard for his friends.
Oh,
and thankfully my dad is not on social media, so he'll never hear about this.
Anyways, so let's get it back to the 1950s.
Sorry, back to devotion. And ironically called devotion. My dad is very devoted to the Lord.
No, but I was trying to bring it to the context of the 50s, the time period of my parents and them dealing with kind of the same thing. I mean, segregation wasn't so far removed from this. No. I mean, we think it is, but it was in our generations.
Yes,
or my grandmother's time period. It's ridiculous. Anywho, so basically, though, I think the cool thing about the story is you see that his whole squad, they actually care about him. They don't treat him badly. There are some comments here and there, but overall, they're pretty.
Well, that was kind of my point of the story. A lot of the comments in there, I don't think are meant to be racist among that group.
It's just time period of that's.
They think they're funny, but it ain't funny to him.
Yeah.
And he's been told that crap his whole life, but other people had told him in a berating way, and then there are other people that do say it in that kind of way. Well, and it's again, that's when you have this person say it and this person says it. Their meaning may be different, but it's the same thing to the person you're saying it to.
Yeah. Well, and then I think the whole devotion thing is about the two of these people. Like, they are there to really help each other, back each other up. They're a team, and an incident happens, and just, one trying to save the other and not leave them behind, and this whole thing. And you see that. And at one point, the wife, he tells the wife, I was trying to do this. And she's like, that was never your job. I just asked you to just be with him, and you did. That's all that matters. The most heartbreaking, wonderful thing is it is based on a true story. Heartbreaking because something bad did happen.
It's war, so things are not going to go well.
The coolest thing at the end is I was crying because you see these two families have maintained a friendship where now they were then then their kids. We're now to the kids and the grandkids. There are still two families that are together. There is a what were their names?
Foundation, or
there is a
can't really say what it is because it would.
There is this. Let me just say, there's a scholarship fund for children of
color.
No, children of
veterans.
The military, active military. But like for the Navy or whatever they were applying for, or they were applying for the Navy. Right? Yeah. Okay, so there's a scholarship fund. It's the Brown Hudner Scholarship Fund for children that want to go.
Not because he was Brown. His name was Brown.
His name was Brown. Jesse Brown. The Brown Hudner Scholarship Fund. They've been working. The families have been working together to solve something that happened in the movie. For now, we're now to the children's and the grandchildren are still working on the same thing that happened in the 50s. They're still fighting for this. For to wrap it up here. Right. I can't tell you what happens. You got to watch the movie. But they're trying. I mean, and that to me is like the ultimate thing about the devotion of these two families. Remained lifelong friends. I love it. I think it's awesome. It's such a good movie.
It's actually a better movie than I expected. I don't know if it was the promotions, if it was the poster. I kind of got like a straight to video vibe.
Yeah, right.
So going in, I was like, I'm looking forward to it because I like the cast. I like the idea. I like watching the old Corsairs and MiGs dogfights, and so I was hoping they're very well handled and look great when they're doing it. So I wanted to see it, and I was like, is it gonna be cheesy and kind of crappy? And then I started hearing some good things about it. So when we sat down and watched, I was like, it's actually a really good movie.
It was, and it would have been.
It's not as action packed as I thought it would be. But it does have plenty of stuff in there.
The fight scenes would be good on a big screen.
Yeah. It's one I wish I had seen.
I really like. Yeah, and it did. I agree. It kind of felt just kind of meh. It was really good. It's much more than I thought it would be. So
yeah, there was a deeper. I mean, obviously, looking at that time, I knew there was going to be a race infused thing there because you can't help it during that time. If you do a movie about this time and you have an ethnic race pilot or something, and you don't ever say a word about them, you're just lying.
The best was their neighbor. Their neighbor hated them.
The old white lady.
The old white lady was just like.
He'd come home and she's like.
And he'd be like, and she'd just be like, every single day. And she would call the cops on him all the time. And they're like, well, okay. This is funny.
Anyway. It is streaming now on Paramount Plus. I don't think it's in theaters anymore, but I do think it's getting ready to come to Blu-ray and DVD. Let me look and see. I don't think I added that. I could be lying. Let me double check. If it is, I don't have a date for it yet. But if it's on Paramount Plus, that means it's probably going to be coming out here soon.
And there's a Jonas brother in it, if that's of interest.
Yeah, he's kind of barely, and I think it's the youngest or the middle one. I don't remember.
But it's fine.
It's the one not married to Priyanka Chopra, whatever.
Priyanka.
Whatever.
All right. Thank you.
That lady.
Moving on.
One last one.
One last one.
All right. So the next one stars America's sweetheart, Tom Hanks, A Man Called Otto, which is a remake, an American remake based on a novel called A Man Called Ove. O-V-E, I believe it is.
O-V-E, the novel and the movie, right?
And that's Swedish, correct?
Yes, it is a Swedish book and
a Swedish movie too, right?
Movie, yes.
Okay. The only reason I thought I read somewhere about why they changed the name. I can only assume it's because there's nobody named Ove here. Mm-hmm. So Otto seemed closer to like an American name.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that's my speculation.
Yeah.
Because I've never met anybody named Ove. Never met a name Otto either, but I've heard of Otto and George and different stuff. So anyway, it's about a man who is super grumpy. He's just mad about something.
Yeah.
But he lives life by the rules. He expects you to follow the rules. He expects you to not bother him. Mm-hmm. Don't disrupt things.
Correct.
Do things the way they're supposed to be doing. If the gate's supposed to be closed, close the gate. Mm-hmm. If it says you can't put your trash here, you do not put your trash there. If this is your parking spot, you park in it. Don't park there if it ain't yours. Mm-hmm. Don't be throwing papers that ain't supposed to be there. Don't poop on somebody's lawn. Animals, not people. So it's that kind of mentality. So when I saw the trailer for this movie, and it seemed to kind of come in under the radar. It didn't seem like a big push. This almost felt to me like it was going to be another Apple TV movie that came out. But thankfully, it went to the theaters.
I'm glad it did.
Do what?
I'm glad it did. I'm glad I could see it.
But it's way deeper movie than I thought. From the trailers, it just seemed like it was going to be kind of lighthearted fun about a guy who hates the world and like the Grinch and kind of finds through this new family that moves in that maybe finds happiness.
Yeah,
and that is the story. But there's so much more here than I thought. Sadness and redemption and happiness and just tons of grumpiness. This might be one of my favorite Tom Hanks performances.
It really is.
Because you never see Tom Hanks grumpy.
And you don't get to see Tom Hanks look like an older man, too.
He looked the oldest he's ever looked in this, and I don't mean that as an insult.
I think because he's thin.
He got really thin. He's wearing a sweater vest.
And if you notice, some of his clothes are too big for him now.
Yes, and I think
like
that's on
you can
purpose.
tell he hasn't been taking care of himself.
But it fit. He looked like this guy would be, and he is. His grumpiness is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really step back from that funniness of it, you realize this is an unlikable human being.
Correct.
And it makes you wonder why anybody here likes him.
Yeah.
And then as the story unfolds, it all starts to make sense of not only why he's grumpy, but why these people stick with him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Guys, the only thing I can tell you, first
you were blubbering, weren't you?
I was trying not to make noise. Like, I was crying so
you were
hard.
Weeping.
I was weeping, but I was trying not to be like, I was holding the noise in. It was like the last time I cried that hard in the theater is when we saw the dog movie. A
Dog's Purpose?
A Dog's Purpose. I had to shove my sweater in my mouth to keep from making sound. This time I was crying. The lady down the road.
Been in that position a couple of times.
Well, that lady down on our row was crying too.
Was she?
Yes, she had her tissue. I had a napkin and I was like,
I was just eating my wings.
I was trying not to cry. Oh my gosh, bring your tissues.
Yeah, I told her.
As the story starts to unfold and you get bits
a friend
and
of mine
pieces,
reviewed
oh
it,
my gosh.
And it said, bring your tissues. So I told her before we went,
I know.
Bring your tissues. But I wasn't really thinking it was going to be that heavy.
It was heavy.
But it is funny. Mm-hmm. It is lighthearted. It's balanced really well to where you never feel depressed watching it. You just have those moments of sadness. And then while you're crying, something happens that kind of makes you laugh.
Yes.
And then brings you back into the world of, okay, maybe this is going to go in a good direction. And then you get another part of the story that crushes you.
Yeah.
And then you laugh again. And it's like, and it also felt like a complete story for this guy's life.
But and I feel like too, it could be a real story. I think that's what I like about it, where we're at.
Which is weird because you don't like anything with realness.
I know, but this could be a real story. But it's because your characters seem extreme, but I think we all know people like that are.
Well, the way you describe me, I'm one step away from this guy.
You are. You're get off my lawn.
I'm not this grumpy as him.
But I think what I like about him is that he says what he's thinking.
Yes.
You know, he just says it.
Now, I have people like him in my senior classes that I teach that talk just like him about crap. Trust me, it hit close to home.
Oh, my gosh. He's
not. One of the things I like, too, I think one of the things that I liked about him, too, was while he's kind of hateful and, while he's angry and grumpy and he's bothered by everything and everyone, he's never hateful.
No.
He's not mean to people for the sake of being mean to him.
He's factual.
He's like, what do you want? I'm busy. And it's like, and then he shuts the door in people's faces. It's never, I hate you because of this, or you're stupid, or you're an idiot. He calls everybody an idiots or morons.
He's like,
because that's what he thinks about the world.
Yes.
Even complimenting the main girl in the movie, he's like, you're married to an idiot, but you are not an idiot. That's his nice way of saying, like, you're a smart person, but he can't say that.
Yeah.
He has to say, you're not an idiot.
Yeah. This is it's such a great movie. This is already going on my top list of the year.
Well, she's really good in the movie. And
Mariana Trevino.
And she's a good balance for him.
She is.
They are great together.
Yes. I hope they become best friends through life. Anyways, I can't tell you. We can't tell you what happens.
We don't want to tell you, but her family brings culture. Good. And again, I was concerned it was going to become kind of some racial issue when they started realizing, okay, there's a Hispanic family moving in. How is he going to deal with that?
Yeah.
Because we didn't know what kind of grumpy person he was.
Yeah, we didn't know if he's like racist grumpy.
So before they show up, all he's done is yell at everybody and be mad at everybody. So you're like, is this going to be, Gran Torino Clint Eastwood? Or is this just a grumpy person? Is this grumpy old men?
Yeah. But I do like what we have. I mean, we have this Hispanic family. We have a black couple. We have, the really crazy
transgender person.
There's that real crazy guy, which I was going to say. And then
the Walker guy?
Yes. But yeah, we have transgender, and we find out. I mean, he's not that kind of grumpy. He's okay with people. He just doesn't like stupid people.
Yes, that's me altogether. Yes. I'll agree with you. I'm exactly that. I get super irritated by stupid people.
I love it.
But and just so you know, nothing in the movie about the race or the transgender or stuff. There's not messages there. It's not forced down your throat.
But there is
these people just happen to be these people that are part of his life. But there's a purpose for every character and why that person's important. Correct. The Walker person is probably the only one that doesn't have a really big backstory, but he's hilarious.
But he provides some key information.
He does, but he's kind of the narrator to the neighborhood. But he's funny because he's always up. He's always super happy. And like, there's this whole thing with a cat, and at one point he's like, oh,
he's the best. I love him.
And he's like, I just realized I can't keep this cat around because I'm allergic.
Because I'm allergic.
The day next, he's like, and everybody's like.
Anyways, this is
it's a great movie.
It's a great movie. You need to see it. Yes, take your tissues. Be prepared. Grab your popcorn. Go love it because it's Tom Hanks.
It's a little weird and quirky at times.
I love it.
But yeah,
I want to watch it. I'm ready to watch it.
This is Tom Hanks at his finest, in my opinion.
I'm ready to watch it again.
I don't think Tom Hanks has ever given a bad performance.
Correct.
This is just...
I mean, it's no bosom buddies.
No, but I think we're so accustomed to seeing Tom Hanks in a likable role. Whether he's a hero, whether he's stranded on an island, where he's like slow Forrest Gump, whether he's, Walt Disney. He's always somebody that you can dig. You never have to think, do I like this guy? The only other role that I can think of, and I could be wrong, so if anybody wants to post other ones that you think of, is Road to Perdition, which is one of my favorite Tom Hanks movies, where he plays like a mobster.
He's gangster.
And I'm like, what? And he's killing people.
I only have one complaint about this movie, and I told you.
What was it?
Anytime there is a young Tom Hanks, I need Colin Hanks to be in the movie. That's my only request.
Yeah.
There's a younger version of him. The man did a fine job, whoever you are, sir.
And he looked like he could have been
I would just prefer Colin Hanks because you have a young Tom Hanks out there.
Yeah,
he exists.
I've worked with the man. He looks just like Tom Hanks.
I'm like, come
on.
But
I will say that I think Colin Hanks is getting a little older, so I don't know if he would have fit.
I think he just has that kind of skin that's like prone to be a little...
No, I know, but I'm saying I don't know how well he would have been believable as that young.
I don't know.
But I thought the same thing while we were watching the movie. I'm like,
why didn't we get Colin Hanks? What is Colin Hanks doing?
But at the same time, maybe Colin Hanks doesn't want to run around playing his dad.
But why not? You know what? He has endless material. Bosom Buddies, the reboot. There you go. What is Colin Hanks doing? How old is he?
He's acting. He's in all kinds of stuff. He was in that movie, that Offer miniseries.
Why would you not get this kid?
I don't think that's a new image. He was in that movie, The Offer, that I was just telling you about.
Yeah.
The one about the Godfather. He's in that.
Does Tom Hanks have any other kids?
Yes, he has another one that's a rapper.
Oh.
He's a horrible human being.
Oh, is he?
From my understanding. Yeah, there's all kinds of...
I
don't know if he's a real...
There's always one good one.
I don't know if he's really a horrible human being, but there's issues. There have been issues. I don't know what their relationship is. I just know there have been issues.
There's Colin, Truman, Chet, and Elizabeth.
I think Chet is...
Chet looks a little weird.
Click on Chet. I think he's the one with the tattoos.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, that's Chet. That's the rap guy.
Oh my, who's Truman? Why don't we get Truman?
I don't know if Truman's an actor or what Truman. I don't know Truman. I don't know Chet either, if you want to be technical. Colin, I've actually worked with a couple times, but...
Oh, wait a minute. Was that him in the movie?
I don't know. Go look.
That might have been him, and I will take back my words. I think that's him. I bet that was him. Oh my gosh. Did we just discover
something you're going to have to apologize for?
Truman Hanks.
Why are you talking in the Truman Show?
I'm looking up Truman Hanks.
Did you not look in the cast of the other movie?
I didn't. Let me go look.
Looks like he's a behind the scenes guy. Man Called Otto, right there.
I know, babe. I was there earlier. Who played young Tom Hanks?
Young Otto.
Young Otto. Trying to make it big.
So Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. You may have to go to the full cast and crew down there. No, scroll down. Scroll down. Right there. All cast and crew.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
And then scroll deeper down.
Oh, my gosh. This is just too much. Otto. Young Otto. I want young Otto. I don't want child Otto. Young Otto. Truman Hanks. It was his son. Oh, my gosh. I take it all back.
You should be ashamed of yourself. What did I just say? He looked like he could have grown.
He did look like it. And I was like, wait a minute, because I saw this picture of them with the fam. That is him. His son plays his younger version. I take back my words. I apologize to you, Truman Otto. I'm not.
Truman Otto is not his name.
Truman Otto Hanks. I apologize to you.
I apologize to you, Truman Otto.
I apologize. I don't know you as much as I know Colin Hanks.
This is like calling Ron Howard Little Opie Cunningham.
Oh my gosh, they did get his son to play him. That is such great casting. That's the one thing I liked about this movie.
The thing I hated about this movie was they didn't get Colin Hanks. They was like, that's some great casting because they got Truman Hanks.
Let's redo this whole review. Let's start over.
And here's the thing: is I never thought about looking up to see who this kid was.
Oh my gosh, it's his son.
That is too funny.
It says he's been in Black Widow and West Side Story.
I think he's a behind the scenes person.
Oh, Camera and Electrical. Look at you.
Yeah.
So maybe that's. You know what? It works.
Just click right there. He's only been in 2 things as an actor.
Okay.
Click it.
I did click it and it went away.
Oh, click it. Go up there. Back up.
Go up.
No, back to the list. Click on over there again. Where's his actor? Okay, scroll down.
Man Called
News of the World.
Oh, he must have been his young version there too.
It says he's a German writer.
Oh, young Otto. Oh my gosh.
That is the funniest revelation
Okay, so this was the best cat. Well, you didn't know who he was either.
I didn't either, but I didn't bitch about the guy. I just said it would have been cool.
Just like
My thought was like, man, that would have been cool if they'd gotten Colin Hanks. But this guy's not bad. And you're all like, I hated that they didn't use Colin Hanks. We were discussing this in the theater. I got to hit message Freddie too because he was at the theater.
Oh my gosh, I feel so dumb.
Oh my goodness. Maybe I need to go amend my review too just so I can mention it so everybody knows.
Yeah, because there's a whole film debut with his dad. Highlights the divide with his crazy brother, Chet. It doesn't say that. I told you. But Chet.
Howard Stern used to play a lot of stuff about Chet. That's why I know.
Oh, this is sweet. Tom Hanks looks way too thin. Get some meat back on
Anyway.
That was enough for that movie.
A Man Called Otto is in theaters now.
Starring
horrible casting of Tom Hanks'
the Hanks
son as Tom Hanks when he was younger.
Oh my gosh.
But it's not Colin, the only kid we seem to care about.
I'm sorry. I apologize, Truman. You're important too. That's hilarious.
I'm gonna hashtag this to Tom Hanks.
No, please don't. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. No, because he might yell at me like he did that guy that tripped his wife.
I hope so. There'd be nothing better than because right now the only person you got that's the best story being yelled at is Kenny Baker, who played R2-D2, and he yelled at you about taking a picture.
At me.
The only thing that can make it better is if Tom Hanks yelled at you for bad casting.
No, I need to go post something nice
about
how great it was to find out that was his son. All I had to do was see the picture of them, and I was like, "That's his son," but I didn't get it.
Moving on, Man Called Otto is in theaters now, starring Tom Hanks and his son.
Let's move on. Moving on.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah.
All right, coming out this week on Blu-ray and DVD.
You didn't know either.
But I didn't think it was a horrible casting.
I was like, I wonder why they didn't get caught.
I didn't get all attitude about it. Coming out this week is not any Tom Hanks movies. Thank goodness. So we don't have to have that argument again.
I'm so embarrassed.
That is the best thing ever. The movie Till that we did talk about on this movie, on this show. Did you just crash? What was that dramatic pose?
This Till movie, man, it got me. And
are you going for an Academy Award this episode?
No.
You went from you're like,
guys, you've got to see this movie. If you haven't seen it, it is hard to watch, but it's so important. I apologize. Continue.
I have to live with
Pray, continue, my liege.
Oh my goodness. Detective Night Redemption, which I sort of talked about, is coming out. Where's it at? Just lost one place. Sorry. The movie Double Jeopardy, which is the Tommy Lee Jones, Ashley Judd movie.
I remember that.
The Paramount Presents limited edition movie's coming out.
That's where she goes back and gets her man.
Cloverfield, the still limited edition Steelbook 4K is coming out, which we also may or may not have some giveaways for that. They're getting a new limited edition 4K Steelbook of They Live, starring Roddy Piper, which I love that movie. It's a great movie. The Wrath of Man with Jason Statham is getting a 4K treatment. And I think that's it. There's a few other things, but I think those are the big ones.
All right.
Oh, Kino Lorber is releasing the Missing in Action trilogy with Chuck Norris.
Oh, that's cool.
It's Missing in Action 1, Missing in Action 2, and then the prequel, Braddock, Missing in Action 3. But that's the prequel to the other two. Have you never seen that? Those are the Vietnam.
I haven't seen those.
Chuck Norris movies. Love it.
I've got something on my glasses.
Fun fact.
What's that?
When I was a kid, me and my best friend, who is not a martial artist, he would always call him said Sun Tek Ho, which was the bad guy missing in action. So he would hold me hostage like we're in Vietnam, and I was Chuck Norris.
He just wanted to tie you up.
He always wanted to just tie me up and hit me with things, because we'd always play guns. He was always the bad guy or a general or whatever. He was the same guy I think I'm talking about before. He was always a manager in wrestling. He never was in the action, but I was always Chuck Norris trying to escape, and he was Sun Tek Ho, and we'd have fight scenes, and he would try to reenact the Sun Tek Ho's fight scene from missing in action without any kind of martial arts ability. But Sun Tek Ho does this in the movie. So now I want you to envision, Danny. Danny walking in a circle doing this at me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd go to kick him, and he'd be like, I would kick, try to be nice and not really hit him because we're playing. He would punch me in the leg because I'm kicking slow. And then he would like judo chop me in the neck. And then I'm supposed to die. And I'm like, that's not how this movie ends, fool. So anyway, sorry. I'm having angry flashbacks of Danny. I got to call and yell at him.
All right. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Also this past week, the Menu comes out this week on Blu-ray and DVD.
Mm-hmm.
Star Trek Prodigy, Season 1, Volume 1, which is the other animated series. It's not Lower Decks, which is kind of the comic one. This one, to me, reminds it more of like, this is Star Trek's version of Clone Wars.
Oh, okay.
It's a whole different set of characters, but it's a little more serious, but just that kind of art style and whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So coming out on the line or in theaters. So coming out on Tuesday on video demand and digital, it's called The Tomorrow Job. It's a group of what do I want to call them? Thieves. They're thieves. But they're using time travel technology to go back and fix past mistakes so that they can pull off the perfect heist job in the future. That's what's happening. Also coming to video demand and digital, I want to see this movie. It's called There's Something Wrong with the Children.
This is based on a comic book.
They go, this family goes off to a cave and something like their kids disappear, but then they come back, but there's something wrong with these children.
And I also think, is that the Netflix thing?
It doesn't say. It just says video. It's a Blumhouse. I don't know where it's coming out, but I want to see it. It just says on the line somewhere.
I wonder if this is the one that Stephen King was ranting about.
Oh, let me know.
I don't know.
Also coming out on video demand and digital, a movie called Snowfalls. It's a group of friends who go off to a cabin, but suddenly they lose power. So they're like, let's just have a party and enjoy. But of course, something bad's going to happen. And they come to believe that the snowflakes have some sort of a weird virus that begins to affect them. And
time to wear a mask.
Craziness ensues. Also coming out on Tuesday, video demand and digital. It's a movie called Gunfight at Rio Bravo.
I have that in there.
Okay, it's a Russian gunslinger. Ivan Turchin rides into a small town in Texas, and his gang goes up against the marshals.
And then Alexander
Nevsky
and Matthias Hughes.
Yes,
I love Matthias Hughes.
We love him. And also coming out to video demand and digital is a new documentary on Tuesday called On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Last Frontier.
I wonder if this is the part of that same series. I want to say there was a series of On the Trail of Bigfoot.
Yeah, so this time we're in Alaska.
Maybe. I don't know if it is or not. But
I think the other one maybe is a different country.
Matthias Hughes, if you don't know, by the way, he was like the premier martial arts villain of the 80s and 90s. He's the I come in peace alien.
Oh.
I come in peace, you go in pieces.
Yeah. Coming out on Friday in theaters is a new movie starring Anna Kendrick. It's called Alice Darling. It is a thriller about her trying to deal with her psychologically abusive boyfriend. And that's going to... craziness ensues there. Finally coming to theaters, we talked about this movie a few weeks ago. It's a movie called Women Talking. It was in limited release. It's now in wide release in theaters near you. Please go see it. It's based on true events. Loosely based on true events and a novel of the same name of these women who are an isolated religious colony, and mysterious things start happening, and they wake up to find that they've been sexually assaulted, and it's how that story unfolds.
We did a whole episode about it.
Yes. Also coming to theaters is a movie called Missing.
That's the one from the same guy that made Searching.
Oh, okay.
That's about the girl that's trying to find her mom.
She's trying to find her mom. Okay, so that movie was the one with
John Cho, the found footage thing.
It was during the pandemic, and they filmed it all on camera, on like computer lens cameras.
I don't think that one was.
I
don't think Searching was a pandemic one.
Was it not? I thought
no, because I think it came out before that.
Okay, well, whatever. But it was all on video cameras and iPhone footage and all that. And so this is like the next evolution of that.
It's a different. I don't think it's connected.
It's not connected.
You know, unless he shows up at a cameo, like, hey, I've had somebody missing too. I don't know.
But so
it's the same director.
It's the same idea where her mom goes on a trip somewhere and then never shows up or they never find her. She doesn't. The hotel's like never seen her. And so it's all through her phone, her
Social
computer,
media,
her Ring doorbell camera has some of it, tracking on the phone app. I mean, so it's really interesting, and I'm just really excited to see this one too. Video Demand and Digital, Kids versus Aliens.
That was one of those I didn't care about until I realized, if I'm not mistaken, the guy that directed it is the same guy that directed Hobo with a Shotgun.
Okay, well, there you go. It's he's trying to hang out with his little nerdy kids. His sister is hanging out with the cool kids, and it looks like aliens attack. So there you go. All coming to Netflix. This week's Netflix movie looks really interesting, and I hope we can see it. It's called Jung E, and it's basically an combat AI robot. Okay, it's combat trained. They take one of their own, Captain Yoongi Yi, and she's a famous military fighter, and they decide to bring her back as an AI. So
that's always a good plan.
Yeah, right. But of course, since it's an AI for the government, they train it to fight, be loyal to the government, follow all our commands. And the scientists work on it and it finds out that something fishy is going on. So her last command to the robot is
kill.
No, like be true to yourself or something mysterious. She gives her some last words of like, don't listen, do what you think is right. And so of course the AI is going to fight back, and it's military trained by their greatest fighter in history. What are they going to do? I'm ready to watch this movie. I'm ready to watch this movie. It looks really good. Okay, your Detective Night, we talked about that. Limited release in certain areas. Also coming to Video Demand and Digital.
Is that other movie up there? All Eyes Off Me? I'm sorry. All Eyes Off Me. Is that the sequel to All Eyes on Me with about Tupac?
It is not.
Is that all about Suge Knight? Everybody gets your eyes off me?
No. Okay, Video Demand and Digital, movie called Out of Exile. It's this guy who was running from the FBI, and he's trying to start a new life, and I don't even know. That's all I know about it.
That one we just watched. We're going to talk about next week. Scroll back up. Right there.
The Sun, it is coming out in limited release near you, so probably California and New York.
Well, it's coming out in Dallas.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's a whole list of places, but Dallas is opening this Friday.
Okay, so last year we talked a movie called The Father, starring Anthony Hopkins and
is that Olivia Colman?
Olivia Colman.
Which she was nominated for an Oscar for.
Both such a good movie. It's the one where we don't know what's going on with the father, like suddenly his daughter is someone different and the son-in-law is someone different, and they're in his house, but he's in their house and you don't really know what's going on.
You start realizing he's dealing with his own mental stability.
And so now this is another installment from the same people.
Same director, writer. They're all based on a series of stage productions he did. There's the father, the mother, and the son. Mm-hmm. The son was the final one. He hasn't made a movie about the mother yet.
Yeah. So somehow it's connected.
We don't know for sure. I think Anthony, because somebody wrote, one of the things I wrote said this was a prequel. So we believe that the Anthony Hopkins character that's in this movie as well is the same character from the other movie, but they're not the same place.
Time period wise.
Well, not time period, but they're not the same place mentally. Okay. Like he's a different person in the new movie
than he is this one.
I mean, in the father than he is in this one, because in this one he's like kind of a small cameo, but he's a complete douchebag.
Yeah. So,
but it's Hugh Jackman,
but it kind of makes sense about why he's with Olivia Colman, because perhaps no one else wanted him.
I don't know,
because of the events of this.
I
don't know. We don't know how it's connected.
It doesn't even matter. You don't have to see one. They're not connected so much that it matters.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's what's happening this week.
Woo!
That's a lot.
So giveaways, we got a few different giveaways this week. I think a couple that we may not have had before, or maybe just one. I don't know. So we still have digital copies of the menu that are going to be going out probably this week. So if you haven't entered for a chance to win a digital copy, not a physical copy, digital copy of the menu, hit us up, go through the thing, follow the instructions. We also have copies of the Grandmaster of Kung Fu that I talked about today. It's a great wuxia. Is that right? That's it right there. Wuxia genre martial arts flick, if you dig it. We still got some copies of Don't Worry, Darling, with Florence
Pew, 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 pew,
as
pew.
well as Black Adam.
Nice.
Which I dig Black Adam. It got a lot of backlash now, especially with the current state of DC and what's all going on.
We don't know.
But I have a feeling we'll see Black Adam again. Just maybe not what we thought we were going to see Black Adam again. And then also we have still a couple of copies of Nope. And the latest one is the limited edition steelbook 4K of Cloverfield.
Nice.
And somebody asked me the other day when I posted about this, so I'm just going to put it out there. There are currently 3 Cloverfield movies. There is one other one supposedly being made. So a lot of people know about Cloverfield. Then they know about 10 Cloverfield Lane. The one they seem to forget about is the Cloverfield Paradox, which is on Netflix. And it was one that it was very interesting because during the Super Bowl the year it came out, trailers started popping up.
Right.
Nobody knew what it was. And then literally the end of the Super Bowl, the movie debuted on Netflix, and then you find out it's the latest Cloverfield movie. And then another thing, when I was doing this, that I found out that I don't know how close it became, if it was just a discussion. Supposedly, A Quiet Place was supposed to be a member of the Cloverfield story, but then they said no, we're just gonna keep it separate. So, but none of the Cloverfield movies cross over each other, so you can watch them all independently.
Yeah.
But the one we have is the one that started them all. Which is directed by Matt Reeves, who did the Batman. Nice. I believe he did one of the Planet of the Apes movies too, or a couple of them or something. Anyway,
that's cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Don't forget to go find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Hive. And check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. Don't forget to click on the contest button for all the free stuff.
Yep. I'll see you next week for an all-new episode. Peace and love.
Peace be with you.
And just remember, Man Called Otto has Tom Hanks and his son that we didn't know about.
Truman.
We found out today.
Thanks, Truman.
It is now the Truman Show.